The gold and silver of a Las Vegas pawn shop once symbolized endless opportunity and wealth. For Rick Harrison, it was the key to becoming a television legend. After transforming his family business into the beloved series Pawn Stars, he stood at the pinnacle of success. But hidden beneath the bright lights and quirky negotiations lay a far darker reality. Allegations of betrayal, silent heartbreak, and a life sentence that would rip the Harrison family apart. These developments took center stage when rumors exploded across the celebrity news circuit. As fans scrambled for answers, the shocking truth began to reveal itself. Was it all just a rumor to grab headlines? Or was there a genuine scandal buried in the city that never sleeps? Tonight, we'll unravel the real story behind one of the most astonishing twists in reality television history. To understand how everything crumbled, we have to start at the source. Richard, the old man, Harrison. He was more than just a gruff-looking patriarch with witty comebacks. He was a real-life Navy veteran who carried an unwavering sense of discipline wherever he went. He first set foot in Las Vegas decades ago, lured by the limitless possibilities the desert oasis promised. Back then, the dusty lot that would eventually become the gold and silver pawn shop was nothing more than an unremarkable slice of the Strip. With sharp instincts and a relentless work ethic, the old man spun those humble beginnings into an iconic family business. But the story truly began when his son, Rick Harrison, came of age. Rick was drawn to the gleam of collectible coins and precious metals like a magnet. Even as a teenager, he had a knack for sizing up an item's real worth. Long before the cameras rolled, Rick was already charming local sellers with his quick smile and even quicker math. Together, father and son meticulously built a shop that was half museum and half negotiation arena, where everyone walked out with a story. It wasn't glamorous work at first. Pawn brokering meant dealing with everyday folks who needed a quick buck. But it gave Rick an up-close look at humanity's endless variety of treasures and travails. Yet as business grew, so did aspirations. The old man's strict approach and Rick's entrepreneurial hunger formed the ideal recipe for success. Family life was never picture perfect, but it was stable enough that people walked through the shop's doors to see a father and son side by side, forging their legacy, one sale at a time. That legacy was about to transform beyond their wildest imagination, and not necessarily for the better. The shop's modest popularity quickly evolved into a cultural phenomenon in 2009 when a television production crew decided to capture the day-to-day hustle of the Harrison clan. It was a gamble. Would average Americans really watch strangers haggle over coins, cars, and questionable memorabilia? But Pawn Stars was more than just haggling. It was an invitation to step into a world of bizarre artifacts, cunning negotiations, and comedic antics. Fans were hooked from the very first episode. Rick's lovable eye rolls whenever his son, Corey Big Hoss Harrison, overpaid on an item, and Chumley's unpredictable, often comical asides, created an irresistible dynamic. In a matter of months, Pawn Stars catapulted Rick, Corey, Chumley, and by extension, the old man, into household names. The show's success led tourists to line up around the block for a chance to see the famous pawn shop in person. It didn't matter if they had anything to sell or not. Just standing inside the storied walls was enough. With that fame came bigger paychecks, more fans, and an ever-escalating cycle of appearances, promotions, and spin-offs. The shop ballooned into a multi-million-dollar empire, but as the ratings soared, personal stakes skyrocketed. Rick suddenly found himself juggling fatherhood, show business, and the daily demands of an ever-growing brand. The old man found it harder to keep up, a harsh reminder that time, like money, is always limited. Meanwhile, Corey wrestled with the pressures of living up to his father's image, while Chumley found himself thrust into the international spotlight. The stage was set for triumph, but also for inevitable conflict. Fame is a double-edged sword. It can elevate a family-run business into the stratosphere, but it can also magnify every crack, every feud, and every scandal. From the outside, the Harrisons looked unstoppable. Little did fans know the foundation was already beginning to splinter. Then came the rumor that shattered the Pawn Stars universe. Rick Harrison's son was said to be facing a life sentence. The internet was ablaze with speculation. Some fans assumed it had to be Corey, whose party boy reputation occasionally put him in the tabloids. Others whispered that it was Jake, Rick's rarely mentioned son from another relationship. The rumor mill churned with allegations of illegal deals gone bad, a catastrophic family betrayal, or even violent crimes. While some dismissed it as a stunt to draw attention, others insisted a hidden scandal was about to be exposed. At first, Rick and the rest of the family remained silent. The entire Pawn Stars brand had been carefully curated around the notion of a slightly dysfunctional but ultimately likable brood. The idea of a life sentence didn't fit into the narrative, but fans on social media wouldn't let it die, especially when the rumor began to intersect with another scandal: Rick's bitter legal dispute with his mother Joanne over ownership claims. Suddenly, viewers had questions. Was that messy lawsuit overshadowing a bigger catastrophe? While the speculation mounted, an official statement was nowhere to be found. The tension was electric. People wondered, was the rumor itself an exaggerated spin on an entirely different situation? Or was there a truly tragic story about to break? Before the life sentence rumor became a raging wildfire, Rick was already grappling with a battle that threatened his entire empire. Joanne Harrison, the old man's widow and Rick's own mother, launched a civil lawsuit accusing Rick of maneuvering her out of the family business. Allegations stated that Rick had tricked Joanne into signing over her shares while she was in a vulnerable state. Worse yet, there were claims of missing silver hoards and unaccounted cash, sums that soared into 6 figures. For a family once portrayed as tight-knit, the lawsuit was a bombshell. Joanne's lawyers insisted she never intended to relinquish her controlling stake in the pawn shop. Rick, on the other hand, insisted he had done nothing unethical, calling it a gross misunderstanding. Fans of the show who had adored Rick's negotiation prowess began to see it in a darker light. Was the consummate deal-maker using the same tactics on his own mother? The lawsuit wasn't just a family spat. It was a direct threat to Pawn Stars' public image. Overnight, Rick went from approachable TV dad to a figure under suspicion. The swirling rumors about a possible life sentence for one of his sons took on an even more ominous feel. If the Harrison family was capable of tearing itself apart over money, could deeper secrets be lurking just beyond view? Lawsuits are one thing, but a life sentence is something else entirely. As fan curiosity spiraled, another question surfaced. If Rick was locked in a legal tug-of-war with his mother, would he even have the bandwidth to handle a scandal of that magnitude? Amid all this, Austin Chumley Russell faced his own string of legal troubles that threatened to upend everything. Chumley wasn't born into the Harrison family, but he might as well have been. The comedic relief on the show, he won hearts with his laid-back humor and occasional cluelessness. Yet behind the scenes, life was less playful. In 2016, police raided Chumley's home on suspicion of assault charges, only to discover contraband that included substances like marijuana, meth, and firearms. The revelation sent shockwaves through the fandom. Pawn Stars was supposed to be about harmless fun and historical curiosities, not real-world crime busts. Chumley entered a plea deal to dodge serious time, admitting to a felony weapons charge and a misdemeanor related to drug possession. Fans were stunned. How could the easygoing goofball on screen be tied to something this grave? As the legal proceedings dragged on, the narrative around Pawn Stars darkened. It was no longer just a show about father and son banter, but a business overshadowed by real-world controversies. The more the rumor about Rick's son's life sentence circulated, the more tangential connections people made. If Chumley could be found with contraband, could Corey or Jake be tangled in something more severe? The show's entire cast was under microscopic scrutiny. Every public appearance, every tweet, every quiet rumor was dissected. But it would only get more complicated. As fans looked beyond Chumley, they discovered that Corey had controversies of his own. Corey Harrison was always portrayed as Rick's heir apparent. a brash but earnest businessman in training. But a steady stream of tabloid stories began to paint a different picture. According to multiple accounts, Corey's fondness for nightlife and partying often put him at odds with his father's disciplined approach. One incident involved Corey allegedly causing a scene at a bar in Jefferson City, culminating in him being thrown out after publicly relieving himself and tossing a stool. Another fiasco erupted when Corey and some friends rented an RV for a trip, only to return it significantly late and heavily damaged. Behind these episodes was a portrait of a young man struggling under the glare of the Pawn Star spotlight. On camera, Corey might have been calm, but off camera, he battled stress, health concerns, and the weight of continuing the Harrison family legacy. He underwent drastic weight loss surgery, shedding a significant amount of body mass, but some speculated the emotional burdens lingered. Fans started to wonder if he was spiraling into chaos, the same chaos that might lead someone down a path of irreversible mistakes. Of course, none of these controversies confirmed the rumor about the life sentence, but each scandal chipped away at the show's squeaky clean veneer. It begged the question, if Chumlee and Corey were contending with personal demons, could Rick's other son have taken an even darker turn? The tension kept building. Viewers wanted clarity. Was the rumor an outright fabrication? Or was Rick Harrison truly grappling with the unimaginable? Just when it seemed the controversies couldn't get worse, allegations emerged involving the show's so-called experts. Audiences had marveled at these specialists who identified everything from medieval weaponry to vintage sports memorabilia. Their expertise lent Pawn Stars a unique credibility. So when a series of lawsuits and exposés suggested that several experts had engaged in fraud or were caught making blatant errors, fans were livid. One expert faced allegations of authenticating forged items, causing unsuspecting buyers to waste huge sums on worthless memorabilia. Another was filmed in a heated altercation outside a Las Vegas bar, and a high-profile blunder from a separate consultant involved mixing up an Al Pacino autograph with that of a lesser-known producer. In isolation, these incidents might have been written off as accidents, but in the swirl of the Harrison family's other troubles, they hinted at deeper systemic issues. If the experts were compromised, maybe the entire operation needed re-examination. As more details emerged, Pawn Stars lost significant luster among dedicated viewers. Was it all staged? Were the negotiations truly spontaneous, or were items carefully curated ahead of time? When fans realized how many aspects might have been orchestrated off-camera, the authenticity that once set Pawn Stars apart seemed to evaporate. Now, with the show's integrity in doubt, swirling rumors about a life sentence came to symbolize a potential final blow. Even if the rumor was false, its very existence signaled how far the show had fallen in the court of public opinion. After months of swirling speculation, Rick Harrison finally spoke, albeit cryptically. Appearing on a local Vegas radio show, he briefly addressed hurtful rumors aimed at his family. While he didn't explicitly mention the life sentence claim, he dismissed the tabloids fueling it as people with nothing better to do. He seemed weary, older than his years, grappling with the stress of lawsuits and negative headlines. But fans were left unsatisfied. He offered no clear denial, no reassurance that his family wasn't facing the worst-case scenario. In the same interview, Rick revealed that the legal dispute with his mother remained unresolved. He claimed outsiders were manipulating Joanne for their own gain, implying that someone might be feeding the rumor mill to weaken his position in the case. It was a bold insinuation, yet it lacked solid proof, leaving fans more puzzled than ever. People who had supported Rick for years were torn. Was he the victim of a smear campaign, or was he just skillfully deflecting attention from a family secret? For a man who had built his career on authenticity and raw honesty, assessing an item's true value at a glance, he suddenly felt like he was hiding behind a wall of vagueness. But the rumor wouldn't go away. People needed answers, and with every day that passed without transparency, speculation escalated. Meanwhile, a tangential rumor began to swirl that the life sentence was purely metaphorical, describing permanent estrangement rather than prison time. With so many theories, fans hardly knew what to believe. Pawn Stars' cultural impact was undeniable. It inspired spin-offs, philanthropic endeavors, and even pop-up exhibits featuring prized items from the show's archives. It made the old man's stoic commentary part of pop culture lore. Yet somewhere between the everyday hustle of a Las Vegas pawn shop and the juggernaut of global fame, the magic had dimmed. Early episodes had an authentic blend of fun facts, comedic banter, and genuine excitement whenever a legendary collectible came through the doors. By the time the controversies exploded, viewers complained the show had become formulaic. Word circulated that many walk-ins were actually cast by producers ahead of time. Negotiations were rehearsed, jokes repeated. In the end, what was once a refreshing take on unscripted television fell into the same trap as many reality hits. A cycle of repetitive storylines and behind-the-scenes drama overshadowing the original charm. With every scandal, the brand took another hit. Even if the life sentence rumor was nothing more than a wild exaggeration, it still epitomized how deep the show's troubles ran. After all, fans rarely conjure such extreme gossip about programs with stable, scandal-free reputations. Eventually, an obscure online article claimed that Rick's elusive son, Jake, had faced serious legal charges related to an alleged involvement in organized theft. According to this story, local authorities had threatened him with a life penalty under a repeat offender statute. Whether there was any truth to it remains murky at best. Rick never confirmed or denied specifics, and no official court records surfaced to back up such a claim. Still, the story gained traction, boosted by tabloid thirst for a sensational meltdown. Some said the entire fiasco might have been stirred by enemies within the Harrison family, or even by disgruntled ex-staffers looking for a payday from tabloids. Others believed that if Jake did face dire legal woes, Rick was doing what any protective father would, fighting to keep the details under wraps. To date, neither scenario has been proven, but even the intangible nature of the rumor contributed to its staying power. Like a haze floating over the desert sky, it refused to dissipate, fueling endless speculation and overshadowing every new development in the Harrison family saga. While the show's brand was built on the camaraderie and comedic tension among Rick, Corey, and Chumlee, insiders hinted that real, unspoken rifts had formed. Rick was reportedly devastated by the lawsuit from his mother, feeling betrayed by the same person he once credited for forging his relentless ambition. Corey, balancing fatherhood and his public image, grew increasingly reclusive. Chumlee, though outwardly comedic, carried the stigma of his high-profile legal brush, which continued to color fans' perceptions. Meanwhile, fans noticed subtle clues in the final seasons. Rick's eyes looked more tired, his banter less energetic. Corey's appearances felt sporadic, and the once goofy interactions with Chumlee seemed forced. Episodes increasingly relied on cameo appearances from experts or staged comedic segments. The synergy that made Pawn Stars a phenomenon was fading, and the rumor of a life sentence lurking as a dark possibility was ironically one of the show's biggest draws. People tuned in hoping for clarity, but left with more questions. Sometimes the burden of secrets is heavier than the secrets themselves. The silence around the life sentence rumor did more damage than any confession might have. In the end, what is Pawn Stars' legacy? For many, it remains a groundbreaking show that brought history, humor, and heartfelt moments into living rooms across the globe. It turned everyday items into conversation pieces, and it introduced millions to the idea that a dusty relic could hold untold stories and untapped value. But for others, Pawn Stars serves as a cautionary tale about the cost of fame. The controversies, whether it's alleged fraud by experts, Chumlee's run-ins with the law, family lawsuits, or the chilling rumor that one of Rick's sons faces a life behind bars, have forever marked the once-beloved series. The shop still stands, and fans still wander in hoping to catch a glimpse of the stars. Yet the aura has changed. In reality, television, few things are more compelling than genuine family bonds. Fans can sense authenticity, but they can also sense when cracks appear. Maybe the family fiascos aren't entirely Rick's fault. Maybe the pressures of a multi-million-dollar brand would strain any family. But the tarnish on Pawn Stars will always remain, an echo of heartbreak and scandal that can't simply be polished away. So where does that leave the rumor of the life sentence? Nothing has been conclusively confirmed or denied. The shadow of that story looms over Rick Harrison's empire, fueling endless debates among fans and critics alike. The Pawn Stars phenomenon is bigger than any one scandal. It's a modern parable about how quickly success can open the floodgates to betrayal, rumor, and controversy. The Harrisons soared to incredible heights, only to find themselves grappling with the kind of turmoil most families never face in public view. Whether a life sentence is truly part of the Harrisons' future or just a dramatic rumor, the cracks in the show's glittering facade are impossible to ignore. Now, the choice is yours. Do you think the rumor was just clickbait, a tall tale spun to exploit the family's legal battles? Or does the Harrison clan guard secrets darker than any storyline they've ever shared on television? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you'd like to stay in the loop on more mind-blowing celebrity controversies, exposés, and reveals. After all, if one thing's certain, it's this. The real stories are often hidden in the fine print, waiting for someone to shine a spotlight on them. Pawn Stars might have taught us how to spot a priceless artifact or a worthless fake. Now, the question is, which of those labels applies to this life sentence rumor and to the show's own legacy?